This is what you do when you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like a Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet. You go to eBay. There you'll find new loves that will never disappoint, expertly authenticated. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag, or classic watches like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier tank. On eBay, there are no limits to your high standards. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved vintage and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
If you or a loved one are managing a challenging mental health condition, you may be running out of patience. I want to tell you about a better option. Hi, I'm Jenny Garth, host of the I Choose Me podcast. If you're frustrated with the pace of weekly therapy, consider spending some dedicated time working on you at Amend Treatment. Amend is a 30-day residential mental health treatment center, thoughtfully designed to give you the space you need to break through. The unique locations surround you in natural beauty. Amend's dedicated team of doctors and therapists have deep clinical expertise. Your care is tailored specifically to your needs. Amend has 2 beautiful locations in Malibu, California. Find out more at amendtreatment.com/start.
Being a Delta SkyMiles member comes with more than just miles and great travel. It comes with access to SkyMiles experiences, my new favorite place to find unforgettable events, like an exclusive styling session and cocktails with me, Rachel Zoe, courtside seats for your favorite team, one-of-a-kind dining, concert backstage passes, and much more, all available by using your miles. Head over to delta.com/SkyMiles experiences to find your next experience and favorite memory. Not a SkyMiles member? It's free and easy to sign up and start earning miles today. Terms apply.
Wasabi Technologies is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from those old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams around the world. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, Wasabi is driving innovation in data storage, all for up to 80% less than those other guys. Try them out for free at wasabi.com.
Are your lingering depression symptoms getting in your way? If you're on an antidepressant for major depressive disorder, MDD, and you've made some progress, but your unresolved symptoms leave you feeling stuck, it may be time to ask your doctor about Vraylar, cariprazine. Vraylar is a prescription medicine approved for use with antidepressant medicines to treat MDD in adults. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant is clinically proven to help relieve overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone. Results may vary. Build on the progress you've already made. Ask your doctor if adding on Vraylar to your current antidepressant could help give you a lift in relief. Vraylar is not approved in elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis or for people under 18. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Report unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, tremors, slow or uncontrolled body movements, restlessness, feeling like you need to move around, nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common side effects. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. For a lift in relief, ask about adding Vraylar, Vraylar. Visit Vraylar.com or call 1-877-6-VRAYLAR to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels for your weekly dose of glamour, inspiration, and, of course, fun. Well, you are in for a real treat today. The wonderful, powerful, iconic, all-around shining light of a human being, Nicole Avant, is on the pod today. Nicole is many, many things. Actually, I think too many to name, but to name a few of her titles: best-selling author, producer, and ambassador. I've never said that before on Climbing in Heels. Today, she is sharing her incredible story from growing up in literal music royalty in LA to working for Obama, to her shift into becoming a producer and now author. Nicole's beautiful book, Think You'll Be Happy, is available now in paperback, and you must read it. Nicole is a wealth of knowledge and experience. her experience with grief and tragedy she lays out in this book, and it's so incredibly healing, and I'm so grateful that she's on the pod today. So here she is, my friend Nicole. I want to start off by saying I could talk to you for 17 hours. So like I now in my brain have to be like, okay, how do I make sense of this for people that don't know so much about you? And it's funny because you are one of the most fascinating people I want to talk about, because Climbing in Heels is really about celebrating and talking about and sharing the journey to get to be you, right? Get to be where you are now. So I want to start just a little bit at the beginning, because you are so fascinating and you have done so much. And I've had such incredible women on Climbing in Heels, but there is no one that has had a journey like yours. And so I want to talk about it because everyone's journey is different and everybody's journey is unique. And I know that I can't keep you here for 17 hours, but I do want you to share just a little bit, because you know, of your beginnings, because you did grow up here. Mm-hmm. And not many people I've had on are actually born and bred here.
Right. Yeah.
And you have lived this incredible childhood, a very unique childhood, one that most people would like fantasize and dream of, right? But as you talk about in the book, and you talk about these things of these happy moments, but also painful moments, I think, as many of us have as children, but certain things that you touch on and you remember, I think really shaped who you are now. And I think you have gone from growing up here in Beverly Hills in the magical world of music, royalty, music, royalty, literally, but then going into politics and working for Obama, to becoming the US ambassador to the Bahamas. I mean, like, who are you? Like, who are you? I want to hear, who is Nicole? How did you become? And just share whatever you want, your highlights or whatever you want, but to start to become you.
Okay, it's great. I think the one thing that I'm really, I mean, I'm grateful for so many things that my parents gave me and taught me as a young girl. But one of the greatest lessons was to own my individuality, that there is no one like me. That's why you take fingerprints. No one's going to have the same fingerprint. No one, you know what I mean? They scan your eyes for a reason. There is only one you, period. And my job was to
literally
be the best version of myself. But to your point, I like when you said the journey, because, you know, my dad he calls it, his version of the journey was the dash. You come with a number and you end with a number. What are you going to do with your dash? It is your dash. It is your life. You know, it's that great saying, you know, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he would always say, you know, my dad, again, so just to go back, my father born in 1931, Jim Crow South, full segregation, you know, talks about running from the Ku Klux Klan, you know, pick cotton, pick tobacco, starting at 5 years old. You know, they really just a very terrible, you know, very hard time for many people in America. But I'm just talking about my dad at the time. But he knew, he said, listen, I have a life force. I have been given a life force. I don't know how long I'm here. I have no idea, but I know it's a ride. The journey is a ride. There's ups, there's downs, and there's valleys, and there's mountains, and, you know, there's twists and turns, and you have to be prepared for that. And I'm really grateful to my mom, Jacqueline, and my father, Clarence Avant, for reminding me that the journey is not a straight line.
No, it's not. It is hell not.
And the journey isn't a straight line. Life isn't a straight line. There's gray areas. Not everything's the same. Everyone's journey is different. So that's why we have to all tread as lightly as possible and as gently. And that's a challenge, because we forget that we don't know what everyone's going through. I don't, you know, none of us do. So I think owning my individuality was probably the greatest lesson I received, because I felt as if I had a superpower all of a sudden, that my individuality and my life force was my superpower to do with whatever I chose, but also that my thoughts and my words are creative and they are energy, and you're all about energy. And as you know, everything you speak over and over and over again, everything you think over and over, everything you're visualizing, everything you imagine. My mom would always say, if you're going to use your imagination, at least use it for the better. Why are you going to
make it count?
The worst possible situation? Why would you even think about the worst scenario? Why don't you think of the best scenario? And so for me, I think having that growing up, knowing that, okay, I have the support to do whatever I want to do. I'm very fortunate to have a very different life from my parents because they earned it.
Yeah.
And they got to a new point, and they took their blessings very seriously. And they knew that they were in powerful positions to open doors for people, to create a safe haven at their house in Truesdale. I mean, they had a real mission, Rachel. They had a mission of, okay, creative artists are in the house, politicians are in the house, athletes are in the house. But the difference was they were all the best of the best. And they all had a purpose to make things better for people that were coming behind them.
Yep.
And that was the lesson that you and I have spoken about, that of course you think that's what you do. And then you're in shock when you get out into the world, and then you see the flip side, which is, I'm going to close this door in your face on purpose. And I'm going to be mean to you on purpose. And I'm not going to speak to you on purpose. And
I'm not rooting for you. And I don't want the best for you. In fact, I'm going to take it further. I want to see you fail.
Yes. I remember walking into a job. I was working at a studio, and I was in college, so I must have been 20 probably. I remember walking into a room, and I was a gopher. I was getting coffee. I was Xeroxing scripts, and I was, doing whatever. And I just remember a group of people, mostly women. And I remember walking in saying, "Hi, good morning. Is there anything you need?" And honestly, it was as if I was some monster. Everyone just looked at me up and down and kind of smirked, and then didn't say anything. And I thought, oh,
not bizarre.
Okay. But I was of course you take it personally, naturally.
Yeah, of course.
You do. And then you're questioning, did I do something wrong? Did I look at them wrong? And then all of a sudden it became on me. And again, when I went back to my mom and I'm crying about it, she said, okay, own your individuality and do not dim your light. Don't change because someone else is rude.
Sure.
So do not dim your light and just become shy and meek. And
it's hard though. That's hard.
Very hard. And that was probably one of the hardest lessons I've had in my journey is my mom would say, because I stopped saying good morning and I stopped being myself.
Because I was scared.
I was scared.
It's rejection.
But here's what you just said, which is interesting. I was, for lack of a better word, it's the idea of I am now changing my personality, and because I'm uncomfortable with these people, versus I'm going to be me, and however they want to treat me is their business. It's not my business. But I'm not going to not be myself and then turn into someone that I am not, because it'll make other people feel comfortable. If they're uncomfortable or they want to be rude or they want to be unkind, they have that right to be. But I don't want to betray myself or betray my soul and become someone different that I don't like.
Right. And so in those moments, so at this point, you're working, you're holding on to you. Were you able to maintain that the whole time? Were you able to correct yourself? Because I've been, pardon my French, shit on by more women than I kicked down, got back up, kicked down, got back up. And I just remember being like, God, am I supposed to become a hater? Am I supposed to become cynical? How am I going to, and to your exact point, my dad used to say to me, my mom used to say to me, don't let that change you. Then they win. How does that serve you? It is more poisonous to you to hold that, but it's hard, right?
It's very hard. And went through that many, many times. It's not one and done, right? We're all put into challenging situations. And also we have to check ourselves where, you know, the beauty about awareness and the beauty of stillness and meditation isn't always to be perfect. And it isn't just for manifesting. It's also really about, at least for me, is to make sure that when I go off the rail, or if I am so busy that I'm not holding the door open for someone, or I'm considerate, that I snap out of it immediately because I'm aware of my own behavior, right? And then you can switch. But no, it's been like that in every situation. And we all think it's going to stop, and it's gotten better, but it doesn't, because humans are humans.
Of course. But I think it is important to stop and do these things to check yourself.
Yes.
Because when we don't, even as grown-ups, when we don't have our parents being like,
yes.
And we have to learn.
We have to learn 100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So tell me, okay, so you go to high school, you go to Beverly Hills High School, you grow up, you have this great childhood for the most part, great, right? Like, I mean, all the things.
And actually, those were great years for me. I was very fortunate. I hear people who were so traumatized in high school.
You're like, oh, that was my bad.
And I feel so bad because I thought those were the best years of my life.
Don't feel bad. It's a gift.
It was the best. It was the best. And college was great for me. I really had, you know, my childhood. I was fortunate enough I went to, you know, Hawthorne Elementary on Rexford.
I mean,
yeah, and then went from there to Beverly, and then
I can't imagine it. Just knowing you now, nothing about you reads California girl to me.
It's so funny. So many people say that.
Yeah, like no world that would be you, a California girl.
Everyone says that.
You are otherworldly. You are international. You are European. You are anywhere but growing up in California. Honestly, like even at Hello, when I first met you, I was like, where is this goddess like human from? And you're like, born and raised here. I'm like, what? But it all made sense. But I love that, because I think you growing up as, I mean, if I'm allowed to say, I mean, music royalty, if I'm allowed to say that, you know, your parents were both incredibly hardworking, iconic people. Your father, that ultimately, and in your book, you speak about, like, there was highs, there was lows, but ultimately the chairman of Motown. I mean, that is mental. Yeah. That is insane. Like, I don't even, you know.
Great. And I think he was in his 60s. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but how hard did he work for that? Oh. You know, and that's the thing. And I think that shaped who his children became. And we are products of our parents, right? And as I raise my children, I am so highly aware of that. And everything that I do and everything I say, I'm like, this is going to affect later. This is going to affect later. But how did you come out of this seemingly humble, royal, incredible, artistic childhood surrounded by the best of the best in every field, right? And this loving family, right? But I imagine there was a lot of tough love in that, which is how you became who you are. But at what point, when you graduated college, were you like, okay, this is what I'm going to do? Because you've done quite a lot. So
it was a lot of tough love. And another great gift that my parents gave me was I was working. I was working at a very young age. When I was 10, even if it was answering phones at my dad's office, 8 years old, 10 years old, but getting there on time, having responsibility, having chores in the house, you know, and all science shows that anyway. I just read this report the other day, and I'm thinking, well, of course the kids turn out that way, because then you're not shocked when you go into
the real world
and someone tells you, what do you mean I'm not going to do that? Of course you're going to do that. So my mom had me, and she put me in service at a very young age. So waitressing and hostessing, and I worked, you know, I remember in New York City, there was a dry cleaner around around the corner from my parents' apartment. And my mom said, listen, you're not going to skate by here. If you're going to NYU, you get to come home. You could stay here and, and be here while you're in school there, but you got to go get a job. I'm not giving you your party money. I'm not giving you your dinner money. And I went and I just lied and said I did it before, which of course I was fired within 2 weeks. But the beauty about that job, I mean, I was doing anything, but the guy said, I'll never forget, my boss said to me, you're terrible in my profession. However, you are so good with people. I am watching you with the customers, and I notice that you genuinely want people to be satisfied, and you definitely want to bring joy to people. You're always smiling. You're always pleasant. If things are wrong, you want to fix them immediately. And that's really why I got fired, because you know how you put foil, fashion, they put foil on everything to protect the buttons on your button.
Yeah.
I did not know that and so I said, oh, Mrs. Johnson, I'm so sorry. I will make sure that we pay for new buttons. You cannot go to your wedding this way. We've ruined your coat. Of course, the manager comes to me and is like, oh my God, doesn't mean this, Nicole? These were protecting her buttons. And then right after that, he said, you can no longer work here. However, whatever you do in your life, please don't change that part of you that actually likes to serve.
Sure.
And you like people, and you're very good at that. He said, so always keep that. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. It was one of those things, okay, I just lost the job, but I got a really good nugget because I deserved to be fired. I did not need that job. But so it was so great that, my parents always had me in situations where I'd be uncomfortable or I'd have growing pains. And my mom would say, you will thank me one day. You will appreciate this. You think it's hard now. It's not hard. You need to be a responsible, productive human being in society. This is my job as your mother. My job as your mother is to raise a decent, considerate person who's productive. I don't care what you
and
do.
What you do, sure.
But she said, but you can't be lazy. I'm not doing that. I will not have you be, and I will not have you be lazy.
That's what I say to my kids. I love her.
But she said, but you can do and be anything you want to do. You want to be a school teacher, be a school teacher. You want to be a beautician, be a beautician. Whatever. You want to be a lawyer, you want to be a judge, do whatever, and I will help support you. But you cannot sit around and do nothing. She just would not. It was honestly the one. She said, that is not allowed in my home. You have to be positive, powerful, and productive as often as possible. And I'm
writing that down.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking the 3 Ps.
It's the 3 Ps. And
that's going to be a new piece of art in my house. Positive, powerful, productive.
And it really, but I took that with me everywhere I went. I thought, all right, so whether and after college, to answer your question, I went into the record business and I worked for Jerry Moss at A&M Records. Mm-hmm. And I went in and I worked in the R&B promotions, marketing, and I had the best time and I was learning, but I loved it. I mean, I came from the music business. My dad had, we had music publishing companies. He had his own record labels. So I knew the business, but I had never done marketing or promotions, which I really wanted to do. And I learned a lot. And then, but I always pivoted. And then all of a sudden I thought, I want to make documentary films. I think I want to make short films. And my parents were like, what? I said, this is what
you're on a trajectory.
Yeah,
what do you mean? You're growing.
You have a good job. You have it. My dad, of course, was so old school. They have very good insurance and you have a good job. All he cared about was the health insurance.
I love him bless.
You're paying your own rent. You should save money for a home. I mean, I was on a trajectory, like you said. And then I said, nope. And then again, I spoke to a couple of their friends who were in the business, and one of their friends was a casting director, Reuben Cannon. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, he was casting the Tina Turner movie. And he said, if you want to be a great director, such a great movie. If you want to be a director, you should go study people. And the best way to study the people that you're going to be directing, if you're going to go to New York, go to acting school. I go, but I don't want to be an actress. He goes, but you should learn the craft so you understand the people that are in front of the camera. I went to Gately Pool Acting Studio. I don't think it's there anymore. And then I went to Lee Strasberg, and I ended up loving it. And it's interesting because you never know the journey of your life. But no, did I become an actress? No. Did I do some commercials? Sure. Did I booked a few things on TV. But the point of this story is.
Did you like it? Did you like it or no? I loved it.
Yeah, because it was because I wasn't chasing it, and it was never about fame. It was about, I like doing this, so I did it. But when I became an ambassador, when I served, and you give speeches every day, you write speeches every day, and you're in situations, all of a sudden, everything that I had studied at Lee Strasberg started working, and it was natural for me. So I wasn't afraid to give a speech. I wasn't afraid to give I wasn't afraid of anything because I had already gone through these different processes. So again, it was because of the positive, powerful, and productive theory of my mother. It took me through every part in my life, even working for Obama. In the very beginning, when everyone was like, who is this guy you're working for? But I knew there was something about Obama, and I knew whatever it was, I wanted to be a part of it. Even if we don't win, I want to be a part of this movement.
So you end up launching the Culture Cabinet under Obama, yes?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it was.
So tell me. So you go into this, and then you become the U.S. ambassador to the Bahamas.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So I started with him, and I'm thinking,
Nicole, I know.
Well, I thought it's interesting. I kept thinking, I want to bring all these different people and different cultures and arts, and I want to bring young Hollywood into and of course, again, we were building the plane as we were flying the plane. So they were like, do whatever you want. Then they gave me, it was unpaid, but all of us, there were 4 co-chairs of his finance group in California. And they're all still very good friends of mine. Charlie Rifkin is still one of my best friends. And he was the U.S. ambassador to France. And we did something together, and we just both felt that, wow, we felt even just serving him on the ground in California was really service. And then cut to, everyone was like, you've done so much. And I said, oh no, I don't want anything. I didn't do it to receive anything.
Right.
I just did it and then all of a sudden the ambassadorship shows up, and the proposition and the idea of it. And I'm thinking, no. And it was Charlie Rifkin who said, Nicole, this is something that you will regret. Yeah. When the president asks you to do something and believes you can do it, and it's him, it's not a forever job. And I was so very focused on, no, I'm 40. I'm dating this guy, Ted, and I really like him. And I want to stay home. I'm tired. I want to do other things. I'm tired. And then, but Charlie was right. And I write about it and think you'll be happy. Sometimes people have to dream for you.
Yes, I agree with
that. Charlie kind of spun this dream for me, and Ted agreed with it and said, I will support you in every way. And we got married up to a month before I landed in the Bahamas. Ted and I got married at the Beverly Hills Courthouse. We didn't have time for a wedding. No, Ted said, he went to my parents. He asked for my hand. He said, what am I going to know in 6 months that I don't know now? We've been dating 9 months. She's going to go to a different country. She's about to be the U.S. ambassador to the Bahamas. I want to be there as her husband. I don't want to go and visit her as her boyfriend. And it was so
I'm gonna cry.
I know. And it was, and Teddy having his support.
That's such chills.
He was really great because he didn't live there with me. I mean, I moved to Nassau.
How did you meet him? How did you guys meet?
I had my first big fundraising event right when Obama received the actual nomination. And we met through our mutual friend, Lawrence Bender. I'm sure you know Lawrence. So yeah. So again, and you know what it was?
Wow.
When I had turned 40, true story, I said to the universe, I am going to say yes to everything that comes my way. It's a new decade. It's a new year. And I'm saying yes. 3 months after I made that declaration, Ted was in my life. I met him and made that declaration March 6th. By June 20th, I had met Ted. And then so I kept everything that was coming to me. I said, well, okay. And I was scared. I was scared to move because everything was new. I had no support system there. I had no friends. I was moving into a new job, new people. I was the head of the embassy.
Leaving your safe place in California.
Yeah, but I love that my dad was behind it saying, Nicole, this is what the hell I've gone through to put you here on this earth. And I stayed with you, and your mother has stayed with you and putting you through school. My God, take the job. And then they both had to keep reminding me, everyone did, it's not forever. I kept looking at it as, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? What am I going to do?
That's how I would have been you. I would have played that out the same. Yeah. What if I mess this up? Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with that. This is scary. What if I'm not good at it? What if this is like, what do they call it? Like imposter syndrome. What if he thinks I'm better than I would absolutely do what you were doing.
Yeah. And my dad said, and what if you're wrong?
This is what you do when you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like an iconic Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet. You go to eBay. There you'll find new loves that will never disappoint, expertly authenticated and everything. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag to be besties with your other handbags, even an eternally classic watch like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier Tank. You know the one. And when you find it, eBay has their experts' eyes to make sure you're getting the real deal. That way you can be confident that the designer finds you came for, the luxury wardrobe you've always wanted, it's all real. In fact, it's verified authentic. So bring your high standards and never limit what you can find. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
Even if you think it's a bit overhyped, AI is suddenly everywhere. From self-driving cars to molecular medicine to business efficiency. If it's not in your industry yet, it is coming fast. But AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? Time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a blazing fast and secure platform for your infrastructure, database, and application development, plus all your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for compute and 80% less for networking, so you're saving a pile of money. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded to OCI, including MGM Resorts, Specialized Bikes, and Fireworks AI. Right now, Oracle is offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI for new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment. Offer ends December 31st, 2024. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic.
Being a Delta SkyMiles member means more than just earning miles and enjoying great travel. It's your gateway to SkyMiles experiences, your new favorite place to unlock unforgettable events. You can even access exclusive events like a styling session with me, Rachel Zoe. I'll personally guide you and a guest through a New York City shopping trip as your personal style consultant. You'll get a gift card too, so you can take home some of the items we select together. And then I'll host you for a chic happy hour. Delta SkyMiles members have access to other amazing events too, from courtside seats for your favorite team to one-of-a-kind dining experiences, all by using your miles. It's the perfect way to turn your miles into memories. So head over to delta.com/SkyMiles experiences to discover your next experience and start creating your favorite moments today. Not a SkyMiles member? It's free and easy to sign up and start earning miles today. Terms apply.
For many of us, the holiday season means more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more of your personal information in more places you can't control. It only takes one innocent mistake, even if it's not your mistake, to expose you to identity theft. Not to worry, LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second and alerts you to threats you could miss by yourself, even if you keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed. The last thing you want to do this holiday season is face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other financial losses from identity theft all alone. Gift yourself the peace of mind that comes with LifeLock and spend more time doing more of the holiday things you love. Visit lifelock.com/iHeart and save up to 40% your first year. That's 40% off at LifeLock.com/iHeart. LifeLock, for the threats you can't control.
If you or a loved one are managing a challenging mental health condition, you may be running out of patience. I want to tell you about a better option. Hi, I'm Jenny Garth, host of the I Choose Me podcast. If you're frustrated with the pace of weekly therapy, consider spending some dedicated time working on you at Amend Treatment. Amend is a 30-day residential mental health treatment center, thoughtfully designed to give you the space you need to break through. The unique locations surround you in natural beauty. Amend's dedicated team of doctors and therapists have deep clinical expertise. Your care is tailored specifically to your needs. Amend has 2 beautiful locations in Malibu, California. Find out more at amendtreatment.com/start.
Right. What if you do like it? What if you do become good at it? What if, again, he said, you always, it's not forever, but go in and serve your country. Serve your country. You will never regret. And it's true. I'm still friends with a lot of people from the embassy, people that I would have never, ever had the pleasure of meeting and knowing and growing with. You know, my friends who were in the Coast Guard, my friends who serve in DEA, my friends who, you know, are in all different government agencies. I would have never had the pleasure and the honor to know these people who serve and protect us in so many different ways. We have no idea what these agencies really do every single day on our behalf to keep us safe. And they are friends. And when my mom died, some of the first texts that I received were some of the people who are on my country team, who were, Madam Ambassador, we are here for you. We love you. Let us know what you need. And I mean, I'm going to cry now. I mean, these were, you know, those are my people.
And they will be your people.
Always.
Forever.
And I'm the same with them.
And let me ask you this. Did you love it?
Loved.
Was it scary?
Yes. Very. And hard. In the beginning, it was hard just to get comfortable, you know, to get my sea legs were a little, but you know, I again, a great lesson also was I had an ambassador who was there before me, Ambassador John Rood. He was there under President Bush. He was so kind to me, Rachel, and so a part of my transition. He showed up at my Senate hearing. He would send me notes and send me things from his office, tell me about all the initiatives that he had that I should continue or maybe would think about continuing, which I did, of course. But he became a really good friend. And when I asked him one day, I said, why are you being so kind to me? We don't even really know each other. And he said, I wish that someone would have done this for me. And I thought, okay, right, paying it forward. And a kind man, and we both, you know, again, he's coming from the Bush years, I'm coming from Obama, and it doesn't matter. We came together as Americans. And that was our mission of let's make the best for the mission in the Bahamas. And he introduced me to all my friends. So that's how just his act of kindness and thoughtfulness. He said, okay, maybe I was 3 weeks there. He said, I'm going to introduce you to my best friends on the island. And I know they're going to love you and they will be your support system. And for 20 something months, they all became really, really great friends of mine.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And then, so you leave there and you come back to California. Mm-hmm. You're with Ted, the sweetest man
ever.
He is so special. He is the sweetest.
Teddy is very sweet.
You guys are like the just two of my absolute most favorite. As I said, like I got to a point a couple years ago where I was like picking and choosing, and it's based on energy. And I fell in love with you at Hello. And I remember actually where I met you. I was at a friend's house and we were like a whole group of our mutual friends, but I think you had just returned, which is why I hadn't known you before.
Yes.
And you know, and then I met Ted and I was like, God, this makes so much sense. The absolute sweetest. And I want to talk about that because it's so hard. I mean, you grew up in this amazing family, lots of tough love, so many lessons. You're this epic person. You work for Obama. You go to the Bahamas. You come back here. You're in love. You're happy. How do you not lose yourself in that? Right? Because there's a lot, right? There's a lot. And there's a lot of trying to be all things to all people, right? And so you've had your hands in so many things. You've had privilege, but you're not spoiled. And I think there's a huge difference.
Yes.
And again, we attribute that to our parents, right? But at this point, you're back. How do you then come back into this place and this world and then be still Nicole, right? Like, how do you come from that and then go, okay, rejigger again, right?
Yeah.
Like reacclimate, right? Like, and then still continue to do tons of, be involved in politics and then in film and all these things, write books. Like what is the process there? Like in your head?
It was a lot, actually. It was very hard for me, to be honest.
I imagine.
Asking that question, because no one really has. Coming back from the Bahamas as being the U.S. ambassador and the head of an embassy, to come back, and then I had Ted's kids, Sarah and Tony in high school, and literally I came back and the next day I'm driving them to Beverly and I'm screaming at them, get in the car, we're late. And Sarah is the stereotypical 16-year-old girl, did not want to hear crap from me. Tony is the sweetest kid. He's 14. Like, I cannot be late again. And I remember thinking, what?
The dichotomy of my life.
Wait a minute. Yeah. I just left that. And now I'm coming. But it was so great, but it was hard because then all of a sudden it was a very different, it all changed so fast, man.
Reality check. It was a quick,
if I landed on Wednesday, I was driving them to school on Friday, and then there were sleepers. And I remember my father taking me to lunch, and I said, I just don't know what's wrong with me. And he said, oh, sweetheart, there was a big power shift. You didn't realize how much power you had, did you? And I said, oh, Daddy, it's not about that at all. And he goes, no, it's not. But let me tell you, that's what's happening to your brain right now.
Right.
You just went from everybody focused on you when you're on the front page of the newspaper. Because then you come home. But it was great because he reminded me, it's different, but you're the same. And it's going to take time. You have to get your ego out of this. You made a decision to come home. You made a decision to stay at home, to help raise Tony and Sarah. These are decisions. And now you're going to have to let all of the feelings with this change. You got to roll with it. And it must
have been so hard.
I was very uncomfortable with it for a while, a little resentful.
I was going to say.
Oh, yes. There was a lot of resentment of, wait a minute, why did I actually liked my job. I had one more year. Why did I come home? Yeah. Because everybody else needed me and wanted me here. And now I'm here, but I wanted, so there was resentment, and you got to work through it because I had to admit it to myself. I had to admit it to Ted. I had to, because I didn't want to.
And then weren't you a little mad at yourself for not feeling good about it? Because I feel like that's a struggle that we as women, especially if we're working and have these big careers outside of our children and our families, there's that struggle. Like, I don't like that I feel like this right now.
100%. And I would say to myself, maybe about 3 months when I came home, I was like, wow, in hindsight, now that I look back at this, I probably would have made a different decision. I would have stayed.
Yep.
And then I had to
That's
say,
hard.
It's hard. And then I said, okay, but I didn't. And I'm here, and I'm either going to fight what is, or I'm going to go with what is. But I had to make a choice. But I also, what I did do, which I'm happy that I did, because it took me a while to get there. I just had to own my choice.
Yeah.
I just had to own it.
Which isn't easy, by the way.
No, but
it's actually the harder way, in my opinion.
It's the harder way. It's just, I had to own the choice. I said, okay, I wanted to do this. It ended up being the best for my marriage. Yes, it ended up being the best for my family, 100%. My parents were getting older. I had more time with my family, thank God. But I still had to own my choice.
And now you can look at it and say there was a plan.
Yes. And now you look back but the lesson for me was stop fighting the choice. And every day, accept that you made it and then do the best that you can with your new reality. And every choice gives you a new reality.
It does. Whether you enjoy that reality or not, right? Because I think that's an important perspective, quite frankly, because regret is hard.
Very.
Regret is really hard.
Very.
I think we all have it on some level. I have a really incredible girlfriend that's always been a huge inspiration in many ways. And she said something to me in a text one day. And you know when something just hits you different? She said, I don't have any regrets. I can't have regrets. It's a waste of time. I can't go back.
Yep.
So why bother? And it was weird because it wasn't coming from my parents. So when something comes from someone unsolicited that you're like, wait, let me take that. Hold on a second. Fuck, she's right. Right?
Absolutely. You know, my dad used to say, you can't unscramble the egg.
No, unfortunately, you can't.
You can't. So he always would say to me, my dad was the same way as your friend. My dad would say, it is what it is.
Now, do you hate when people say that though? Yeah, that you can't solve that.
I know, but I loved what he said after, which was great. He said, it is what it is. And what are you going to do about it? Right. So his lesson for me was I would call him and I would say something, I was so upset and something happened at work and it didn't go my way. And I wanted sympathy and I wanted pity. And he'd say, it is what it is. And I said, Daddy, stop saying that. It's so rude. It feels like you're not even just with me and my feelings. And he said to me one day, it was so great. He said, listen, kid, I'm trying to teach you how to get out of the storm so that you can make a better decision moving forward. If you stay in a storm, it's okay that you're in a storm. Don't deny that you're in a storm, but then you have to admit that you're in one. And then you have to calm your mind down enough to make a great decision. Otherwise, you're going to make a decision in the storm, and then it'll be the worst decision. Yeah. So it was really great advice of it is what it is, and you have to own what it is. Like my mom would always love to say, you can't pretend it didn't happen.
I know, even if you want to.
Yeah, you can't.
I try.
Yeah, and we all would try. And she said, it will just keep you stuck. But it took me a long time, like you, with the regret. And I have to tell you, my dad passed at 92 and a half. He had zero, he'd have regrets. Yeah. He didn't let that, because they're so heavy and they're so burdensome. And it's okay to, having heavy regret is very different from punishing yourself for everything. Right. Of course I regret things. Of course I say, I wish 2 years ago, I wish I made a different choice.
Yes.
And then you do the work. And even if you can't forgive the person or the situation, or you can't own it with the person, this therapist had taught me this great idea. She said, pretend the person is sitting in front of you.
What would you say?
And own it and say sorry. And I apologize. And here is why I'm apologizing. And it was so great. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry for being rude. I'm sorry for being inconsiderate. I'm sorry that I betrayed you. I'm sorry for hurting your soul, whatever it is. So that at least you take ownership of it, and it helps you release. I think you said it before. It helps you release the bitterness and the
poison.
And the poison.
I call it like venom. It's like that. It's like it eats at it like hurts.
It really does, though. And that's why, it's that parable of if a snake comes and bites you, the first thing you do is you obviously try to get the venom out of you before it poisons you. But many of us go and chase the snake. Why'd you do that? Why'd you bite me? Why'd you do that? As you're going to die because you're not getting rid of the venom.
It's true. It's so True. It's so true. And what I will say is that in those regrets, those greater regrets of like, I should have made this career decision, or I should have whatever, I shouldn't have hired that person, whatever it is. I do find, whether it happens immediately or later, that there was a purpose to why that happened.
100%.
Because the result of it was now, right?
There's always a
always. There is, and you don't see it in that moment.
Mm-mm.
I definitely, so important. I really, because again, like I can't even scratch the surface of your life and your journey. But I want to talk about Think You'll Be Happy. And I want to talk about, I feel like everyone in the world has read it or heard about it, because I feel like it was the most powerful book door I've ever seen, because I feel like I felt you so much through your tour, honestly, because it's so powerful. But I want to talk about what made you do it, right? Because I obviously know, because I know you, but I want you to share why, because it's first of all, it's a title that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Right. Because you would think when you read the title, Think You'll Be Happy, it's sort of like, I'm going to tell you something. And it's going to make you laugh. Right. And this book is going to put you in the best mood, but it's so much more nuanced.
Yes.
And I want to talk about A, why you did it, and B, how you got to that title. Because I'm sure it was quite intentional.
It was intentional. It was, so my mom and I, the last time I saw my mom was Thanksgiving of 2021. And, all of us never know. If you're fortunate to know that someone's going to pass, it really is a blessing. But when you don't know, and it's shocking, and my mom's was, of course, a shocking tragedy. So the last time I saw her was Thanksgiving and of 2021. And then 6 days later, there was a home invasion at her house that she lived at, with my dad for 54 years. And 6 hours before that happened, my mom and I were texting, thank God. And her last words to me, her last text was, okay, think you'll be happy. And I got in the bath. Everything was good. Went to sleep. 6 hours later, get to the hospital, your mom's been shot. Get to the hospital, your mom, what? And so I get to the hospital, and I don't know what's happened at this point. I don't know that there's a home invasion. I don't know anything. I assumed that, but no one told me anything. It was just, your mom is at the hospital. So I get there, the doctors say she's in surgery, and I don't know anything. I'm sitting with my dad. He's kind of giving me little hints of what happened. He didn't see the intruder, so he doesn't really know. And he's 91. So he is discombobulated, obviously. And then, so Think You'll Be Happy. I decided, I was already kind of writing a book on the attitudes and the energy of grit, grace, and gratitude. And it was a project I was doing in 2020. I was, all of us were trying to do something.
By the way, I feel like you just described yourself.
And I thought, you know what? Hold on. My mom, because I think there is a purpose and a reason for everything.
Yes.
And it's not
even in that moment.
And I said, her last words to me were, think you'll be happy, which I knew what my mom was saying. The last thing that you're going to hear me say is something that I want you to carry throughout the rest of your life. I want your soul. I want you to decide to stay a happy person. You're a happy soul. And I want you to stay who you are and spread that wherever you are, whichever situation you find yourself in. And so I wanted to, and then I stopped writing. I was stopped when I got home. It was my dad who said, what's going on with the book? I said, Dad, I am not about to put a book out on grit, grace, and gratitude. Mom was just killed. Right. And he said to me, he goes, Nicole, I understand how sad you are. We all are. But I'll be damned if you're going to let this man take your life too. And I didn't like that. I didn't like his answer, but I went up to my room and I thought about it. I'm like, he's right. And he said, write about your mother, write about everything, write about your mom. You're already writing it. So, but weave her into the stories. And he said, so other people won't feel alone. Because grief, remember, grief isn't just, okay, well, my mom wasn't murdered. What am I going to get from this?
No,
What does
grief
that have to
is
do with it? Grief is anything. You could,
grief is larger than we can ever,
yes,
ever.
and it's a real human experience, and we all go, and the stages of grief are so different for everybody. So there is no one formula of, oh, this day you're going to be angry, this day you're going to be sad, all that. No, it comes in different waves, different times. And I thought, you know what, if I can make someone's life richer, better, less alone by sharing the energy of my mom and the lessons that I learned from my parents and the lessons that I've learned too, and just share my journey with other people. And then it turned into a book. You know, I have people writing me saying, I didn't know things about the record business that I learned. I learned things about Black history that I didn't think this was coming in, because I almost wrote it like a tapestry. I just had to describe. I said, well, why is anyone going to listen to me give advice if they don't really know who I'm coming from? So then I had to describe my family.
Right, of course. You have to like do 101. Like no one knows what I'm talking about right now.
And this is why I have the values I have. And these are the lessons I've learned. And I think a lot of people picked up, you know, because as great as my mom was, of course, mothers and daughters have their challenges. And I didn't sugarcoat that. And I made light of it, but it was true of just certain things that I would express to my mom. And then she would say, you know, she would later in life say, you know, now in hindsight, I realized that I pinched your heart, and I realized that I did these things, and I am sorry, but please know that my intention was to understand where we were coming from. My mom was born in 1940. She said, we had no doors open for us. We could not go to the bank and cash a check. Think about this. Without your husband's signature. And she said, the checks would be made out to me, and your father would have to sign before I could get my money. She said, so of course I pushed so that when these doors were opening, I didn't want you sitting there saying, I don't know if I want to go through.
Right.
You have no idea.
It's so hard for them to watch.
Yes. So she said, you know, I know it was a lot, but I'm so happy that she had high standards.
Look at you.
Grateful that she had high standards and go into life doing these things. I used to watch her wipe down the basin at every restaurant we went to. She'd wash her hands, but I always noticed everyone would leave their towels, and my mom would wipe down everything. I'll never forget one day I said, what are you doing? She said, being considerate. Always be considerate to the next woman. Why would you leave any space messy, untidy? It was so interesting, and it was profound for me.
And at that point, by the way, she was living a fancy life, but she was your mother was, and I'm going to say is, she's like magic fairy dust. She was like, when people say her name, it was like they were speaking about this philanthropic queen.
Yes.
This iconic, elegant, graceful, giving, kind, generous, smart.
Very
smart, witty woman. And so, which makes sense. And she couldn't raise ever, I imagine, a daughter that wasn't going to take what she knew better. I mean, that she knew. And as a daughter, I mean, listen, it's me and my sister, and I have a very strong mother with very strong opinions, and I love her. And I can't breathe without her, but we fight like crazy. And crazy. But because as a parent, you can't look at your child doing something, and it's very hard to not correct it because you do know better. And you do know what could happen to them if you don't teach them this. And as a child, you don't know that, right? 100%. Even as a teenager, you definitely don't know it. And I would argue to say, as an adult, even in our 40s with parents, you still listen to them. You 100%. Still,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, my dad was
There's a little fear still.
Absolutely. And he would correct me on things. I'm like, okay, he's right. But he was the parent, and he's like, listen, I've lived longer. I'm telling you, I know. And it's my job. And again, my mom, and I'm happy because even her friends who read the book, they said, thank you for giving all, because I didn't, as much as I wanted to honor my mother in this book, I also made her human. I didn't want to put her on this pedestal, did everything. It's like, no. And so I found apology notes that she had written me, and I would weave them into the stories. And because I wanted her to be known as a well-rounded woman who had faith and love, but she really was the queen. And believe me, when she was the queen of Beverly Hills, I mean, and it was so, she couldn't believe that she was. Because for her, she was smart. She paid her way. She went to med school. She was a nurse. She was a phlebotomist. She did everything and then modeled on the side. She said, look, I took the opportunities that were given to me. I wanted to be a book editor. She said, there was no open door for me to be a book editor, but now there's an open door for hopefully you to be a book editor. Mm-hmm. So please walk through the door and at least try, because you are the promise to everyone before you. There have been brilliant people for hundreds and thousands of years who didn't get an opportunity. Now you have the opportunity. So be the promise, live. I always say, like, I like to live. Everyone says, what do you want your legacy to be? I said, I hope I'm living my legacy. I hope, you know what I mean? I just, that's the one thing that I love that they gave me was, okay. And so that's why I ended up writing the book. And and now Teddy wrote, as you saw on the paperback.
No.
It's so good because, again, in hindsight, Ted went through this very difficult journey with me of losing my mom so tragically. And by the way, 12 days after his dad died suddenly. So his dad dies of a heart attack. I was literally planning his father's funeral when my mom was killed. So I did not get to go to Papa Ted's funeral. It was Saturday. My mom died on a Wednesday. And I remember looking at my daughter, Sarah, who was in her late 20s at the time. And I said, Sarah, and I totally became my mother. I said, I need you to step up, and I need you to bring my energy in, and I need you to run the whole thing. I need you to get your dad on this plane. I need you to be kind, gentle, but you need to run all of it. When you land, you've got to embody me, and I heard it was seamless. Sarah knew exactly what to do. She was wonderful to Ted, wonderful to her cousins, wonderful, but she was in her young 20s. But again, my mom had passed it down to me. I had now given it to her, and I was like, here you go. And this is a dark moment because she was very close to my mom. So she's grieving my mom in shock, burying her grandfather.
Oh my God.
And
how to grow up real quick, by the way.
Real quick. And she's a natural producer. She's a great film producer. And I told her, I said, you're great at your job because producers solve problems. Well, we do.
It's such a hard job.
Yes.
Like, having been on set my whole career, I was always like, I don't think I want to be a producer. Most people didn't want to be the stylist, but I would look at the producer because it's money, logistics, budgets, saying no, making the tough decisions when you have the most powerful people telling you what they want.
Yes.
And you having to say no or not say no and turn it into a yes, but this is how you're going to do it. It's a lot in problem solving. It is. So I want to talk about that because then we come to now where you have produced this incredible film. So let's talk about that. God, I love Kerry Washington. I've known her for a long time. She is such a force, like beyond being stunningly beautiful. She is brilliant, and she is a fucking badass. I love
her in the 688. It is now. We've all seen her.
I've seen some, and I'm already losing my mind.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm an excellent online shopper. I'm also an excellent gift giver, or so I've been told. I really, really love giving gifts and consider it to be one of my love languages. Whether it's my family, my team, my friends, or my neighbors, I genuinely love finding treasures that they will love for a lifetime. So I wanted to share some gift giving tips with all of you. The first one is very easy. Shop on eBay and find literally anything you're looking for, from designer fashion to luxury accessories and great housewares. eBay has the best variety, and you will definitely discover gift ideas you didn't think of before. Second tip, remember what people tell you. Anytime my mom or sister mentions something they like, I make note of it in my phone so I can reference it when their birthdays or big occasions come around. My mom can be so hard to shop for, and this approach has always worked for me. eBay is always the first place I search for those rare and hard to find gifts. The key is finding something that they want but wouldn't necessarily buy for themselves. Okay, third tip, make a gift personal if you can. I love to embroider initials or add engraving to really customize a gift. If that isn't an option, try to be extra thoughtful by selecting something in their favorite color or style to go the extra mile. Last but not least, group gifts are always a win. I love gifting my team or my friends matching jewelry that we can all have together. It creates a special connection when you and your best friend or close circle have a gift in common. I hope these tips help you, and remember to head to eBay for all of your hard-to-find gifts. We've all got a thing, and it's on eBay. Maybe it's scoring all the vintage finds, building an entire wall of sneakers, or hunting down a deal on that designer bag. So go find your thing or the thing for someone on your gift list. Whatever you love, find it on eBay.
It's incredible. I think it's the best performance she's ever given, ever. Tyler Perry wrote a script that it's so excellent, and it's so different for both of them. It's almost as if they both have gone to higher levels, and they were both already at the highest levels. Mm-hmm. They've stepped up, and I think it's because it's a true story about an all-female, all-Black battalion in World War II, and they were sent to do a job that no one could do before them, which is sort out the mail, which had stopped. So families, remember, there's no Facebook, there's no Wi-Fi, there's
nothing.
So there's
have phones.
So
cell phones.
So they depended on the mail, and they depended on letters for their morale, and the families needed it, the wives, mothers, children. No one was receiving mail. And Roosevelt realized this and was like, wait a minute, hold on. Eleanor Roosevelt became, she was great. The president was great, but they figured this out. They knew it. Men had been trying to create a way through this log, this jam of mail. They couldn't do it. So, of course, the underestimated Black women, they're like, oh, we'll send this group of Black women overseas. They'll never do it. Of course, it's 17 pieces of mail. They gave them, God knows how much time. They did it in 3 months, of course. But what they did was they helped win the war. This is the important part of this story. When you have low morale, you cannot win anything.
Yeah.
And we were losing.
In life.
And so what they did, and again, this is a time where they didn't have their rights. Things were not perfect for them. Things weren't fair for them, but they didn't dim their light. They did the task that was put in front of them with so much grit, so much grace, so much gratitude and determination. But what I loved about the story, Rachel, is that they were so patriotic towards about their country and about,
which is interesting, by the way.
Yes, and their country wasn't showing them the respect that they deserved, wasn't even paying attention. They were invisible to most.
Literally. There's that scene, that opening part where Carrie's like, she said something that was so powerful. It was sort of like, it was almost like there's no expectation of you and you're going to crush it. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
like you're going to do the best is what's going to happen.
And the beauty is, it's such a great underdog story. And it's the thing I love about it is every testing we've done, it could be Black men, white men, brown, yellow, doesn't matter.
It's just you're the underdog.
Everybody has felt like an underdog at some point in their life, especially
all the time.
Yeah, all the time. And underestimated and treated. And it brings that energy up. And then of course you want to see people overcome. How do you overcome? You have to be mentally strong. And being mentally strong, you have to be physically strong, spiritually strong. I think they all go together. It's very hard to have a strong mental attitude when you're unproductive, when you're not connecting. Even an atheist, love life, something, believe in something, so that you can connect to a force that's higher than you, that's more powerful than you.
I call it the universe. I just say the universe, you know?
And the universe is so powerful. And, every day someone said, well, why do you sit in silence in the morning? I said, the same reason you charge your phone.
Right.
Yeah. The battery is going to die at some point if you're not recharging. So for me, when I connect throughout the day, before I go to sleep, I am connecting on purpose because I need to be recharged, because Earth is a lot. It's dense, it's heavy, I need to charge.
Yeah.
I need to charge up. And so this film, Carrie is just, I cannot say enough. And she was my first choice, and I'm so happy.
She's the dream. She looks like, even just in the first half, you're like, you want to keep watching. You want to keep watching the story. You want it so incredible. And everything. I mean, I just think people are going to be obsessed, because I just think, even just as women, I think we've always felt like the underdog, right? Like we've always set ourselves up to do the best because we knew people expected that we wouldn't.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So
no, I'm so excited for everyone to see this, because again, and it's faith in the country. Again, I love, because obviously as an ambassador, I love stories of patriotism, and I love America. I love my country. I love my people. I always want the best for America. And this story is a great part of American history, and it hasn't really been told, and not at this level. These women have earned it. They deserve their story to be told, and it's inspirational, it's motivational, and it's true. And so everybody, it's a true story. And it's like the Tuskegee Airmen. You have to, and if you can't give people their roses while they're alive, many of them have passed on, but thank God there were a few women of the 688 that Tyler and Carrie and I had a pleasure to speak to, learn from, sit with, and they were so excited that their story is now going to be around the world on Netflix and in theaters and both. I mean, it's really great.
So exciting. I am like, whew, I need at least another 2 hours. I love rooting for you. I love watching you, your energy and the way you move through any room that you're in is just this, you have this very, you have a very strong presence that brings light. You always have, it's like you have a permanent smile. Some people have a resting bitch face. You have the opposite. You have a resting happy face, but don't be fooled, because I know what's under that. And don't let it fool you. She's tough as nails, but I mean, anyone who knows you knows that. But anyway, I'm so happy for everything you've done. Your journey is extraordinary. I know there's so much, I'm sure still to come. I mean, is there anything? I mean, I can't even imagine you have something else coming, but is there?
No, no. Right now, I'm going to focus on my paperback tour of Think You'll Be Happy, and the film. It's again, my mom, the universe, comes
national bestseller.
Yes, and they're both coming out December 3rd. The premiere in LA of the 688 is December 3rd. The paperback comes out December 3rd. And then I'm going to do another project with Tyler Perry, which I'm excited about.
Brilliant. Tyler Perry.
I'm going to do a film with Reggie Hudlin and a documentary called My Black Country, based on the book. So I'm very fulfilled, and I love telling stories, and I'm very grateful for the life that I've been given and the opportunities that I have, and I'm going to make the best out of them.
And you've earned, my friend. You weren't just handed them.
Thank you.
It's, it's not just, as what happens to you in life. You can't control that. You can only control how you, what you do with it and how you react to it. Right.
I love you very much,
I
my
love
friend.
you. I love you.
I can't really thank Nicole enough for being so extraordinary today, being so open and honest and sharing her, the highlight reel. Yet it was so much. I can't even imagine that was a 1 hour highlight reel of Nicole's extraordinary life, the good and the bad, and so many lessons and so many standout moments, just so many takeaways. Don't fight your choices. Embrace being your unique self, because there is only one you, and that applies to everyone. It's why there are thumbprints, and we never think about that because we'll give our thumbprint and it's like, okay, it's our thumbprint. But like, it is our thumbprint because it's only ours. And it is only our choice, certainly as adults, how we want to be in this life and in this world, and how we want to move through life and what we want to mean to ourselves and to other people, and no regrets. And truthfully, losing her mother so tragically, and then losing her father not that much longer, honestly, later. And I have to tell you, I've never seen her where she wasn't smiling, but genuinely smiling, like with gratitude, truthfully. So I can tell you she practices what she speaks and what she writes. And I learn from her all the time. And I hope you feel like you have incredible things to take away from this episode. Thank you so much for listening to Climbing in Heels. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeart app, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode this season. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Rachel Zoe, and the show at Climbing in Heels Pod for the latest episodes and updates. I will talk to you soon. Mwah. Being a Delta SkyMiles member comes with more than just miles and great travel. It comes with access to SkyMiles experiences, my new favorite place to find unforgettable events, like an exclusive styling session and cocktails with me, Rachel Zoe, courtside seats for your favorite team, one-of-a-kind dining, concert backstage passes, and much more, all available by using your miles. Head over to delta.com/SkyMiles experiences to find your next experience and favorite memory. Not a SkyMiles member? It's free and easy to sign up and start earning miles today. Terms apply.
With Kroger brand products, you can get all of your favorite things this holiday season. Because our proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite. From sweet sugar cookies and holiday ham to that perfect slice of pie. Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ah, and here we have travelers in their natural habitat enjoying guaranteed 4 p.m. checkout at fine hotels and resorts booked through Amex Travel. And they don't even see what's coming at them.
We're in. We got the table.
Yep, with Resi Priority Notify, they're alerted when hard-to-get reservations open up.
Reservation for 2? Save the best for last.
Thanks to Amex Platinum, the last day vacation brings yet another experience. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
This is Dr. Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab. Many people have questions about how to improve levels of happiness. Living a healthy lifestyle is one sure way of increasing happiness. And a good place to start is with your oral health. Just a few small changes to your oral care routine, such as changing your toothpaste to Colgate Total, can lead to beneficial changes in your oral health. Colgate Total helps stop oral health problems like gingivitis and cavities before they start, because preventing oral health problems is a lot easier than treating them. Be dentist ready and get Colgate Total at shop.colgate.com/total.